All right, everybody, welcome back to There Is No Erica Without America. Before we get started, we need to talk about something really important so people understand where these numbers are coming from. When it comes to ammunition sales, there are no exact public numbers. Manufacturers keep those numbers very close to their chest for obvious reasons. So nobody outside the industry has a spreadsheet showing exactly how many rounds of each caliber are produced or sold every year. What we do have are industry reports, import numbers, market estimates, and various bits of data floating around the internet. So the numbers we're going to talk about in this video are averages based on the best estimates available. In other words, we're not pretending these are perfect numbers, but they're close enough to paint a very clear picture of what Americans actually shoot the most. And once you start looking at those numbers, some things become pretty obvious. Now, if you watched the last video where we broke down the real rifle calibers Americans shoot, you probably noticed something in the comments. A lot of you said the same thing. Okay, that was cool, but now do pistols. Which makes sense, because if rifle calibers start arguments, pistol calibers start full-blown internet wars. You've got the 45 guys who still think 2 world wars automatically wins every argument. Then there's the 40 S&W crowd trying to convince everyone their caliber didn't fall off a cliff. And of course the 10mm guys who believe their pistols can stop a bear, a truck, and possibly a small asteroid.
You'll never take me alive!
So instead of arguing options, we're going to do the same thing we did in the rifle video. We're going to look at what Americans actually shoot. But before we get into that, we need to talk about why Mr. CRS started researching this in the first place. Because this entire rabbit hole started because of ammo boxes. When Mr. CRS was designing the CRS Firearms ammo storage boxes over at Only Tactical Fans, he started digging into which calibers people actually store the most. Because if you're designing ammo storage, you should probably know what the hell people actually keep in their safes. And once he started digging through the data, it turned into this whole research project.
All right, impact resistance test commencing on sample 9 and sample 15. Yeah. All right, I'm performing the 3-foot high drop test.
Quick note about the 22 long rifle. Before we start ranking handgun calibers, we need to address the elephant in the room. 22 long rifle. Technically, this is the most produced cartridge in the world, but the reason we're not including it in this handgun comparison is simple. Most 22 long rifle is fired through rifles, not pistols. Training rifles, plinking rifles, farm guns, kids learning to shoot, all that stuff. So if we include a 22 in a handgun comparison, it would completely throw off the entire chart. Americans shoot so much 22 long rifle every year that if you stack the cartridges end to end, you could wrap them around the earth, which is why we're focusing here on calibers that are primarily used in handguns. Finally, we have the caliber that the internet gun forums think solves every problem. 10mm auto. Originally developed in the 1980s, this round delivers significantly more power than most handgun cartridges. Higher velocity, more energy, better penetration. It fell out of favor for a while because the recoil was pretty stout. But in the last decade, it has made a big comeback, especially for woods carry and outdoor defense. Today, Americans fire somewhere around 100 to 150 million rounds of 10mm every year, and that number is growing very quickly. Next up, we have the 40 Smith & Wesson. This cartridge was introduced in 1990 after the FBI wanted something more powerful than the 9mm, but easier to control than a 10mm. And for a while, 40 absolutely dominated law enforcement. Police departments across the country switched to it, but over time, 2 things happened. 9mm ammunition technology improved dramatically, and people realized 40 had more recoil and less capacity than 9mm. So departments started switching back. Today, Americans shoot somewhere around 300 to 400 million rounds of .40 S&W every year, which is still a lot, but nowhere near what it used to be. Now we move into one of the most legendary handgun cartridges ever created, .45 ACP, designed by John Moses Browning in 1904 for the US military, and paired with one of the most iconic pistols ever built, the 1911. For more than 70 years, .45 ACP was the standard US military sidearm cartridge, and that history still carries a lot of weight today. Between 1911 owners, modern defensive pistols, and competitive shooters, Americans fire somewhere around like 500 to 700 million rounds of .45 ACP every year, which keeps it firmly planted as one of the most common handgun calibers in the country. Next up, we have the .380 ACP designed by John Browning in 1908. This cartridge has been around for more than a century, but it really took off during the concealed carry boom because .380 pistols are typically smaller and easier to conceal than most other handguns, which made them extremely popular for everyday carry. Today, Americans shoot somewhere around 600 to 800 million rounds of .380 ACP every year, which is a lot more than most people realize. The big picture. When you step back and look at these numbers together, something becomes pretty obvious. The handgun calibers Americans shoot the most tend to be the ones that are like affordable, easy to shoot, widely available, which is exactly what Mr. CRS discovered while researching ammo storage for boxes. Because when you look inside people's safes, you start seeing the same calibers again and again, 9mm, .380, .45, .40, and increasingly 10mm. Now let's talk about the king of the modern handgun world, 9mm, specifically 9mm developed by George Luger in 1902. Today is the most widely used handgun cartridge on the planet. Police use it, military uses it, civilians use it, competition shooters use it. Basically, if it's a handgun, there's a very good chance it's chambered in 9mm. But the numbers get confusing because people often mix together civilian ammo with military and law enforcement contracts. So let's break it down. When you look strictly at the civilian market, Americans shoot somewhere around 2.5 to 5 billion rounds of 9mm every year. That's a lot. That's the ammo people buy at gun stores and take to the range. But when you add in military production, law enforcement contracts, and exports, the total number of 9mm rounds produced climbs even higher. Between all those markets combined, total production tied to the US market can push well past 5 billion rounds per year, which means in many years Americans shoot more 9mm than every other centerfire handgun caliber combined. And that's not surprising. 9mm is affordable, it's easy to shoot, and the modern defense and ammo has made it extremely effective, which is why today it absolutely dominates the handgun world. Out of billions of rounds, Americans shoot yearly .22 long rifle 45%, 9mm 28%, .223, 5.56, 15%. Everything else combined, 12%. And that's actually what started this entire series. The CRS Firearms ammo storage boxes over at onlytacticalfans.myshopify.com. They're designed around the caliber people actually shoot and store the most. Because if you're organizing ammo, you might as well design around what people actually own. So if you want to go check those out, the link will be down in below. And seriously, thank you to everyone who has supported the store. It helps keeps the channel running. But now I want to hear from you. What handgun caliber do you shoot the most? Did these numbers surprise you, or are you already typing an angry comment explaining why your favorite caliber is your obviously superior? Either way, let me know down below. And until the next video, guys, peace.